questions.
All right then. Let's move on to 8B, consideration of approving the renegotiated 1994 wastewater treatment agreement between the City of Rushford and City of Rushford Village. It is anticipated the final version of the document will be available for the meeting. If further time is needed, it is suggested to reconvene a City Council meeting for Wednesday, March 16th to consider final approval. The awarding of the wastewater treatment plant construction contract and PFA funding is contingent upon this agreement being in place, which necessitates the timely adoption of the agreement. Mr. Chiglo, you've been typing all day.
The agreement that has been negotiated with your subcommittee, you and Mr. Bunky, and 2 members of the Village Council,
Dale Schwanke and Gordy Johnson.
and your various consultants, Mr. Stewart and then Davy Engineering.
Jim Cochie's been in the meetings.
The various comments that they had sent were reviewed. I made some comments. We sent those to Attorney Mannion for the Village. He made a few comments. We've incorporated all of those various comments into the agreement. The one item that is left that has not been fully agreed upon is an issue that relates to if the village actually violates the loading provisions of the type and quantity of sewage that's sent here, and they violate the parameters that are set forth in the agreement, and there are a number of parameters that are detailed in the agreement. The thought is then what do you do? And in consultation with Mr. Copley, we've come up with language that if they violate it 3 times, at the end of the year you'll do an adjustment so that you will look at the exceedance of loadage, and then you will charge a penalty based upon what type it is and what the costs are. What has not been agreed upon is that penalty, what that will be. And so I've inserted into the contract that the city and the village will agree on a exceedance penalty schedule which will be attached. And Mr. Copley indicates that we could possibly get a schedule from the NPCU and present that to the village as if you exceed the allowed loadage of various types of sewage, this is what the penalty will be on an annual basis for those based upon your ERUs, your units that you're using to measure.
What if the village says no?
If you do not agree upon the schedule, you do not have an agreement because you have to either agree or you don't. So you can, your options are you could wait until that schedule is adopted and then the parties agree to it and have an agreement in its entirety in front of you, or you can try to do it in a piecemeal fashion. I would prefer that you have the document in front of you that you have a chance to look at and you can read it and understand what it is and act on that, but I know timing is a concern.
Why the 16th?
There's going to be a meeting anyway. You're going to be meeting on the 16th. The search committee.
Search committee's going to be here
and
anyway.
the council will be here anyway, and it's been an advertised meeting, so you'll be here anyway. So you could just continue this meeting until the 16th, and then as soon as we get this.
Is that proper, Terry?
Sure, you can continue the meeting.
All right, thank you.
So as soon as we get it printed out, and we get that sent off to you, so you'd have time to look at it before Wednesday evening.
Including the penalty.
Including the Exhibit D, which would be the penalty schedule for any exceedance of the allowable loadage.
I would move we postpone the decision until the 16th after we've had a chance to read the agreement and we have the agreement of the village.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Robertson, second by Mr. Dahl. Any more comment?
Is it anticipated that we will hear back from the village by then? Or have something in
yes.
place by then?
Joyce is on the committee and all, also.
We have a regular meeting tomorrow night, so we'd expect to discuss it then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Anything else? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion passes. Thank you. Let's move on to 8C, consideration of approving recommendations from the Economic Development Authority. Staff, Joyce Iverson, and EDA members will be present to provide information and answer questions on the following items. Thank you, Joyce. Number 1, request from American Legion Murphy Johnson, Post 94, for the city flood loan to continue to be subordinate to a refinanced bank loan. Attorney Chiglo has provided review and approval. See attached excerpt from EDA minutes. Take it away, Joyce.
Okay. Well, the Region indicated that they did have a good year, but not quite enough to take care of the net 10% of the flood loan, which was their goal. And they also had an opportunity to refinance. Were able to pay down on the net loan amount, and then with that, or their net debt amount, I should say, and then along with that, pay off the 10% to the city, which was their obligation for the flood recovery loan, if paid off before the first payment's released. And they have been able to do that. And my suggestion to the banker when we talked about this and the EDA made their recommendation was that they present the check at the same time that they present the subordination agreement to remain, for the city to remain in the second position. So I believe they've done that.
Yes.
Any comment, Mr. Chiglo?
Your position's actually improved because of the refinancing. They're eliminating some other creditors, so you're actually in a better position. And your EDA has also received the 10% payment. So I would recommend approval based upon you're actually improving your position.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Dahl, second by Mr. Hansi. Any more comment? All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Motion passes with Mr. Robertson abstaining.